So I suddenly felt the need to stop what I was doing and address something, a gross mistranslation, gross perversion of the words of John that has led to this false doctrine of this false Messiah of the Gentiles being somehow equal with the Father. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Isaiah 44 first. All right? We'll start in verse 1. Yet now hear, O Jacob, my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen. Chosen and elect is the same thing. And you will find it in the next chapter, Israel, my elect, even though Israel has not known him. Okay? Thus saith Jehovah, that made you and formed you from the womb. I will help you. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant, and you, Yeshurun, whom I have chosen. He said it twice now. Yet Christianity claims that Israel is rejected. And much of Christianity today will do their damnness to make sure that it stays rejected. I will pour water upon him that is thirsty, and floods upon the dry ground. I will pour my spirit upon your seed. That is not the first time he said that he's going to pour out his Holy Spirit upon Israel. You'll find it in Ezekiel 39, last verse. You will find it in the last part of Joel 2. And they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by the watercourses. One shall say, I am Jehovah's. Another one shall call himself by the name of Jacob. My brother's middle name is Jacob for a very good reason. And another shall subscribe with his hand unto Jehovah and surname himself by the name of Israel. Well, that is my dad's middle name, you see. Now, one can try to make an argument whether a middle name is a surname or not. Yes, it is, in a way. This is what he means. Thus says Jehovah, the King of Israel and his Redeemer, Jehovah of hosts. Or I should say, and the Redeemer, Jehovah of hosts. I am the first. I am the last. I need you folks to listen carefully to this here, because this is going to rankle some people and offend some of you. Well, I'm offended today by what happened yesterday. I'm offended at you Christians for what was done to the Jews yesterday. The ideology that Christianity teaches, hatred for the Jews, is the reason behind the Pittsburgh massacre. I am the last and I am the first. Besides me, there is no Elohim. Singular. And who is as I? Who is like me? He says. Shall call and shall declare and set it in order for me, since I appointed the ancient people, and the things that are coming and shall come, let them show unto them. They can't, because Jehovah is the one, the only one, who will foretell the future. Even Yehoshua himself said, of the day of the coming of Messiah, of the coming of the day of Jehovah's wrath, of the coming of the restoration of Israel. No man knows the day nor the hour, not even the angels or even the Son. Why? Because there's only one, not two, not three, not a duality, not a trinity. There's only one. Fear not, neither be afraid. Have I not told you from that time and have declared it? You are my witnesses. Is there one? Is there an Elohim besides me? No, there is none. I know not any. Now, then he describes the folly of idolatry. They that make a graven image at all are all of them vanity, and their delectable things shall not profit, and they are their own witnesses. They see not nor know that they may be ashamed. They formed a god or a molten, a graven image that is profitable for nothing. Behold, all those people are going to be shame, and the workmen, they are of men, they let them be gathered to get them together, let them stand up, yet they shall fear and they shall be ashamed together. Okay, so let's scroll down to where Jerusalem is restored in verse 21. Remember this, O Jacob and Israel, for you are my servant. I have formed you. Who formed him? Who formed Jacob? Jehovah the Father. You are my servant, O Israel, and you shall not be forgotten of me. I have blotted out as a thick cloud your transgressions, and as a cloud your sin. Return unto me, for I have redeemed you. Sing, O you heavens, for Jehovah has done it. Shout it, you lower parts of the earth. Break forth into singing, you mountains, O forest, and every tree therein. For Jehovah has redeemed Israel and has glorified himself in Israel. Those of you who hate Israel, you hate the Father. Because Jehovah will glorify himself in Israel. That's how he's going to glorify himself. You hate Israel, you hate the Father. Are you offended yet? Keep listening, you will be. And thus says Jehovah, your Redeemer, and he that formed you from the womb. I am Jehovah, that makes everything. Huh? Jehovah the Father created everything. Are you offended yet? You will be. Just be patient. He that stretched forth the heavens alone. No, he didn't have any help. Jehovah the Father did this alone, by himself, and spread abroad the land by myself. That's not what your preachers told you, is it? Somebody has some splaining to do, folks. That frustrates the token of the liars and makes the diviners mad. Wait a minute. What is he suggesting? The fact that he created the earth by himself and that he stretched out the heavens alone makes those who disagree with him liars. Now, let us go to John. Perversion of the words of John made manifest today on this YouTube channel. And I have to thank my dad for patiently explaining this to me years ago. In the beginning was the Word, and I'm going to read it as the text reads first, and then we're going to go to the Strong's Concordance. And as you know, the word God is incorrect. It is the Father. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with the Father, and the Word was the Father. Just hold on. We're going to get to it in just a minute. The same was in the beginning with the Father. All things were made by who? Who created all things? Now, be careful. Be careful. You don't want to call the Father a liar, because Jehovah said he created all things. Oh, you don't believe it? We'll go back to Isaiah 44 again, and we're going to look up the term, the Lord. See, the problem is with Christians today, they think that the term the Lord is interchangeable between Messiah or a false Messiah and the Father. No, it's not. It's not interchangeable. Let me show you something. Strong's Concordance. We're going to go to where it says, without him, at, single heavens. Verse 24. Thus saith who? It is 3068 in the Hebrew, and it is Jehovah. Not Yehoshua, Jehovah. Because Yehoshua means Jehovah is salvation. So the Son declares that the Father is salvation. So, who made and formed Israel from the womb? He says, I am Jehovah that makes everything and stretch out the heavens alone and spreads abroad the earth by myself. Now, and this is backed up in case you want to sit here and argue. It's backed up by verse 6 where it says, thus saith Jehovah, the King of Israel, the Redeemer, the kinsman Redeemer of hosts, Jehovah of hosts. I am the first, I am the last. Besides me, there is nobody. All right. And he says it again in verse 8. Now, so back to John. Now we will read this in context. And this thing about the Logos being a person was started by the Catholics. In the beginning was 3056 Logos. What does Logos mean? A spoken word, a statement, a speech. What was that speech? Let there be light. That's right. Let there be light. Whose mouth did it come from? It came from the Father's mouth, because besides him, there was nobody. And it says in English, and the Word was with, as they say, God. But if you see, it says if you read it as, instead of a person, as a statement. The statement was, no, not was. You see, the word is ain, 2258 in Greek. It says agreed to have charge with Jehovah. In other words, when he spoke the word, that word came from inside of him. In other words, there was no contradictory statement. The word that he spoke did not disagree with the one whose mouth. So, for example, have you noticed how world leaders, how they'll say one thing, but inside they believe another? No, that's not how our Creator does. No. The word that comes out of his mouth agrees with what he believes internally. Once again, world leaders, they say something that comes out of their mouth, but inside they believe another. Are you offended yet? Then it says, and the word was God. But that's not what it says. It says the statement agreed with the Father. So it just says the same statement twice. It's emphatic. There was no double talk. See how the so-called church fathers twisted the truth to try to make Messiah equal with the Father. Very, very sad what has been done here. Dishonoring the Father in such a way. And it says, in him was life. And who was life? In the Father was life. Okay. All right. Let me try to help you out here. Okay. So in each man, literally, in each man, within him is a certain life form. Okay. And that life form can procreate, not create, but procreate. In other words, a man is indeed made in the likeness and in the image of the Father. So just like the Father has life in him to create, so does a man have life within him to procreate. That's what he's talking about. Okay? And the life was the light of men. What came from that life within the Father? The Messiah. And the light shines in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. And there was a man sent from who? From Jesus? No. Sent from Jehovah. And that man's name was John. The same came for a witness to bear witness of the light. You see, the Father has the power to procreate too. That all men through him might believe. You've been deceived. You've been lied to. The light is not the creator. Jehovah the Father created the light. He's the one that said, let there be light, by the word which proceeded out of his mouth. A statement. Now, before you say, but, Henry, you haven't addressed this particular chapter in Revelation 19. I will do it now. Verse 11. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness does he make war. Okay, hold on a minute. Hold on just a minute. Micah 7 and verse 9. This is Micah speaking on behalf of Israel. He says, I will bear the indignation of Jehovah because I have sinned against him. Until he plead my cause. That word cause. Don't forget that word. Okay? And executes judgment for me. He will bring me forth to the light, and I shall behold his righteousness. Please do not forget that word, that term, plead my cause. Micah speaking on behalf of Israel. Now we will go back to Revelation 19. And he was clothed. Hold on. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name. Wait a minute. Wait. Hold it. Let's look up that word name. It is Onoma 3686. A name, an authority, or what does it say? A cause. A cause. And his cause is called the statement of Jehovah. What was the statement of Jehovah? We just read it in Isaiah 44. That is Yehoshua's cause. That's what Micah was talking about. Speaking on behalf of Israel, that I will bear the indignation of Jehovah because I have sinned against him. And I will have to continue to bear the indignation of Jehovah until the time comes that he pleads my cause and executes judgment. So, all these mistranslations were designed to deceive so that nobody will plead the cause for Israel. You see, how awful, how terrible is the deception that came from Rome, the translators. But see, if people would just seek the truth by going to Strong's Concordance. Now, Strong's Concordance is not 100% foolproof. Don't get me wrong now, because they get a few things wrong as well. But for the most part, they're right. You see how carefully laid the deception is in Christianity today or in yesterday. You've been fooled. You've been hornswoggled. You've been hoodwinked. And you should be offended. You should be offended at your preachers for lying to you, for deceiving you and taking your money under false pretenses. You should be offended.